Shanghai elites flaunt wealth, leaving South Koreans speechless. Bank collapse wipes savings. Villagers block highway in protest. Chinese man urinates on Singapore subway escalator. The US cracks down on cars made in China. A recent incident in Shanghai has left many South Korean internet users shocked. Since China introduced visa-free travel for South Koreans, large numbers of Korean tourists have been visiting Shanghai. While this surge in tourism could help boost the Chinese economy, a recent social media post by a Chinese influencer sparked controversy. The post mentioned, "A business heiress from South Korea casually spent hundreds of thousands. Ordinary people can only gasp in amazement and continue watching the show." This remark seems to have hurt the pride of some of Shanghai's wealthy elite and officials' children. Their response? What's a few $100,000? One of our luxury cars costs several million. McLaren, Porsche, Aston Martin, Lamborghini, Ferrari, name it, we've got it. To make their point, this group of wealthy individuals, who have lived a life of privilege, organized a schedule to show off their wealth. Taking turns in shifts from 7 a.m., they flaunted their luxury cars on Wukong Road, a popular spot for South Korean tourists. Some cars were reportedly brought in from other cities to support the display. One member, who wanted to bring their Porsche, was stopped by the group because it was under 5 million yuan and too embarrassing. While displays of wealth in China aren't unheard of, many South Korean tourists found the scene both extravagant and shallow. They captured photos and videos and shared them online, sparking heated discussions in South Korea. Some commented that wealthy Koreans usually party at night, while this was clearly a daytime spectacle meant to impress tourists. Chinese netizens were also critical. Some felt the behavior was embarrassing rather than pride-worthy. One user noted, "Shanghai's minimum monthly salary is 2,692 yuan, while Seoul's is 13,000 yuan. China's per capita GDP is around 90,000 yuan, compared to South Korea's 240,000 yuan. Who's outshining whom here?" Others remarked, "Real confidence doesn't come from flashy cars." And truly wealthy people are low-key. Those who flaunt are just insecure. How do you expect to earn respect internationally like this? This isn't the first time China's wealthy have flaunted their luxury cars. Back in 2019, during the Hong Kong anti-extradition bill protests, a group of Chinese international students gathered in Toronto with luxury vehicles to display loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party. They flew the Chinese flag on their cars. However, their actions and derogatory remarks, such as calling Hong Kong students poor, stirred backlash online. Some netizens questioned their patriotism. If you're so patriotic and loyal to the party, why study abroad in a capitalist country? Others joked, Hong Kong's economy is more developed than Guizhou's, and Hong Kong students studying abroad are being called poor? As a farmer from Guizhou, I'd better stay out of this flag protector drama. Can't handle the mockery. A sudden banking collapse in Henan has left villagers devastated, with billions in savings disappearing overnight. The incident sparked days of protests, with thousands of villagers gathering at local government offices to demand answers. Some even blocked a highway in a show of frustration. The collapse involved the Huarun Tai-Fu Cooperative, which had 35 branches across villages in Anyang County. These cooperatives, essentially rural banks, attracted villagers, especially the elderly, with higher interest rates and simple procedures for deposits and withdrawals. However, in January 2025, the cooperative abruptly went bankrupt, wiping out the life savings of many. One victim's family member shared that his 80-year-old grandfather had lost over 100,000 yuan. Another villager tearfully revealed she had lost more than 200,000 yuan. From January 8th to 10th, protests erupted across multiple villages, with residents demanding justice. On January 10th, the protests escalated when villagers blocked the Nanling Highway. Villagers questioned whether the government's lack of oversight or complicity with Huarun Tai-Fu allowed such fraud to occur. They pointed out that the cooperative had branches near village offices, openly promoted its services through loudspeakers, and encouraged deposits. They also criticized the government for approving such operations without proper regulation. According to public records, the cooperative was established in 2011 with a focus on agriculture and no authorization to handle financial deposits. Despite this, it engaged in private loans and dubious contracts. Reports suggest that Huarun Taifu lured depositors with high interest rates, then issued illegal loans. The cooperative's chairman, Wang Yulin, allegedly lent large sums to his family, leading to unrecoverable debts. Worse still, 95% of the funds were misused by local officials for extravagant spending, luxury cars, and real estate. Wang reportedly divorced his wife and prepared to flee to avoid legal consequences. This scandal echoes previous financial crises in Henan. In 2022, multiple rural banks in the region were accused of reckless lending and poor management, leaving depositors unable to access their funds. Some depositors questioned whether the money exists at all. Similar issues resurfaced in 2024 when another cooperative collapsed, leaving over 140 villagers unable to withdraw their combined savings of more than 11 million yuan. Despite years of public outrage, the Henan government has failed to implement stricter financial oversight or address compensation for victims. Critics argue that authorities have prioritized silencing depositors over addressing systemic issues. This latest collapse has only deepened fears about the safety of savings and the region's financial instability. We've all heard stories of bizarre behavior by Chinese tourists abroad, but a recent incident at Singapore's Outram Park MRT station still managed to shock locals. Singaporean media reported, "We thought cases like defecating at store entrances or urinating in hotel kettles were isolated incidents. Who knew it could happen right on our doorstep?" Here's what happened. On January 2nd, a Chinese man, Li Guorui, arrived in Singapore on a business trip and stayed in a hotel in Chinatown. On the night of January 10th, after attending a business dinner at Westgate Mall, where he had a lot of beer, he was urinating on the handrails of the escalator on the third exit of the Outram Park MRT station around 10 p.m. He was visibly drunk, and members of the public witnessed and filmed the act, sharing the video on social media. A witness reported that someone informed the station's customer service counter right after seeing the man urinate. Another person stayed nearby, intending to confront him, but the man, sensing he was being watched, quickly took an elevator and left. Upon closer inspection, it was discovered that the entire escalator handrail was contaminated with urine. Singaporean media reported that Li's actions caused a public nuisance. According to local laws, disrupting public order can result in up to 3 months in jail and a fine of up to 2,000 Singaporean dollars, around 10,000 yuan. This incident brings up an ongoing question. Why do Chinese tourists often face criticism abroad? Many still remember notorious incidents like these. A video showed Chinese tourists at a buffet grabbing food with their hands and filling their plates with excessive amounts of seafood. They piled up 4 or 5 plates each, only to waste much of it on their tables. The shocking behavior left witnesses stunned. In another video, elderly Chinese tourists at a scenic spot were seen squeezing through narrow gaps in gates to avoid buying tickets. It appeared as if they had spent years practicing this move to avoid paying. A woman at Sichuan's Huanglong Scenic area was reportedly upset. She took out her frustration by pushing over signs and even trash bins in the park. As the saying goes, if I can't be happy, neither can you. These incidents often lead to complaints of discrimination against Chinese tourists, but such actions are self-inflicted. As the old Chinese saying goes, respect is earned and dignity is maintained by oneself. Imagine being on a busy street or bustling highway, and suddenly a car bursts into flames or its brakes fail, leaving it speeding out of control. The thought is terrifying, and incidents like these have raised serious safety concerns. On January 14th, the Biden administration finalized a new regulation to nearly ban Chinese-made cars and trucks from entering the U.S. market, citing national security risks. U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo explained that the move aims to prevent potential threats to American road safety. She stated, "It's really important because we don't want 2 million Chinese cars on the road and then realize we have a threat." The regulation also applies to Russian vehicles and parts, though exemptions are granted for vehicles over 4.5 tons, allowing Chinese automaker BYD to continue assembling electric buses in California. Concerns over the safety of Chinese-made electric vehicles are not new. Numerous incidents involving EVs catching fire or malfunctioning have been reported. In August 2024, a video surfaced showing a blue electric car emitting thick smoke on a street in Kaili, Guizhou. Within minutes, it was engulfed in flames, followed by a loud explosion that blew off the car's hood. In September 2024, a Neta V electric car crashed into a roadside planter while speeding uncontrollably, then overturned and caught fire. The driver fractured his ribs, and his wife sustained severe injuries. The driver later claimed the car accelerated to 100 kilometers per hour on its own while he was trying to park, and the brakes and emergency shutoff system failed. In March 2024, at an international EV expo in Nanjing, a Zeekr car suddenly activated, crashing into a neighboring BYD display vehicle and injuring 5 people, including a child. Videos show the chaotic scene, with bystanders clashing as some tried to hold the manufacturer accountable. Even larger vehicles like buses haven't escaped scrutiny. In January 2024, a BYD electric bus caught fire in London, prompting authorities to recall nearly 2,000 buses. Investigators identified issues with the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, which could cause fires if left unchecked. These incidents have added to the skepticism surrounding Chinese-made vehicles. With safety concerns mounting, the U.S. government's decision reflects growing caution about allowing potentially hazardous vehicles onto American roads.